Imagine having your kids always asking to be picked up, never letting you sit down, or they're right there jumping on you, pushing up against you, trying to get back into your body, or asking for a piggyback ride. And then you make this one change and suddenly they're playing for hours. Yeah, let me explain. So, thank you for joining me for another episode of Mothering Holistically, where everyday moms like you and me share stories of finding balance, pursuing our passions, and never giving up. I'm your host, Kaylee Berlinee, a fellow mama who also lost sight of who I was and now dedicated to reclaiming myself alongside all of you. So, as I stated in the beginning, I recently made one change in my home that has drastically helped with my constant state of feeling overstimulated and now has my girls playing for hours independently and together, like also together, before even looking at what I'm doing. Before I get into that, I want to first address or admit a few things. I am a recovering procrastinator and perfectionist. So I started this podcast kind of to force myself to just get going, to just get started. So many people say, oh, the hardest thing is to start. And I was given tips by people who don't even have a podcast of, oh, you need to have 4 episodes prepared before you start, or you need to do this, or you need to have this type of equipment. And honestly, it stressed me out. And I didn't want to feel that I wasn't going to do it because certain things were stressing me out. So I just got started. And over these past 12 episodes, I have learned so much and I have been researching so much. And I'm really, really excited for what's to come. So YouTube University has helped me. Shout out to Hiwete. I have learned so much when it comes to prepping and planning and kind of creating concise ideas. And I know if you've been keeping up, and I appreciate those. Thank you so much for those that have been following along and watching. But as my own self-critic, I have felt like it's kind of been all over the place and not have a clear direction. So I will say though, in the beginning, I really was just trying to introduce myself. I was trying to let y'all know, or a little window into my background. And so that's what I was doing in the beginning. I do know that when I was planning on breastfeeding with my daughters, I really did seek out a lot of information, other stories that I can kind of lean on as motivation that it is possible. So that's another reason why I shared my breastfeeding story. So going forward, every first Saturday of the month, since our episodes air every Saturday at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, you can expect me to let you in on what you can expect in that month. So for this month, we are talking about overstimulation. And what I mean by overstimulation is, of course, sensory and that type of thing, but also just being overstimulated and overwhelmed by the expectations of parenthood, i.e., teaching your kids, homeschooling your kids, or prepping them for preschool, potty training, and one other topic that I'm going to keep secret. But that's kind of what I mean by overstimulation. And in this episode, I want to specifically talk about overstimulation, sensory overstimulation. And I honestly, I'm not a clinical psychiatrist or anything like that. So this is just coming from my personal experience. But I have, of course, listened to psychologists, and it really explained a lot of what I was going through. And I didn't realize that it was also affecting my children. So, when I talk about sensory overstimulation, I really was thinking about just like touch. Like I was feeling touched out, but it actually was extending further than that. So, like I said in the beginning, my daughters were always wanting to be held. And it was, of course, I can't hold both my girls at the same time all the time. I wouldn't be able to like do anything. You only have 2 hands. So it was getting really overwhelming, especially when they would both cry. They both want me to hold them, or I would finally sit down because if I was standing up, they were pushing up against me to like if I was cooking or washing dishes, they would kind of shimmy their way in between me and like the wall and like push up against me to like push me away from what I was doing. And that was like really frustrating for me. And then when I would sit on the couch, then they would come and I'm laughing because it's like they would literally try to it felt like they were gonna trying to put themselves back into my it felt like they just couldn't get close enough to me. And they one thing that really, really kind of irks me is that they drive their head into my chest. And I don't know why that just it just makes me just really frustrated and upset. And it kind of hurts a little bit. And of course, it's both of them doing that. So it's like, I can't stand up, I can't sit down. And I was just, I was really feeling touched out. And then I would turn on the TV to get a little reprieve. But then, I'm kind of sad about turning on the TV because I don't want them to just be watching TV so that they, don't want to like be touching up on me. But I mean, even though when I turned on the TV, they still wanted to cuddle and things, but at least it allowed me to get up. It kind of kept them distracted. So they would like stay on the couch and I could at least get up and stand up. But then now I'm just like standing. And I mean, I guess it does push me to like do fold the laundry or, do things around the house. But, sometimes you still do want to relax and drink your coffee without them kicking it. And then you have coffee spilled all over you and you're just frustrated because you can't do anything for yourself. You can't have just a moment. And I just thought that this was life. I just thought that this was what it was. And I would just tell myself, going back to a few episodes, that's why I started waking up in the morning because when I would wake up with them, I was just immediately thrown into motherhood and that was not helping. It was like as soon as I woke up, I was demanded me, of course. And so I started waking up earlier than them just to kind of give myself a moment, but I don't of course want to drink coffee as soon as I wake up. I try to like drink my water and stuff. And so I've always been that type of person to truly enjoy drinking my coffee. And now with my drastic change, I am able to drink my coffee, but this just happened like 2 days ago. And so before that, it was just kind of sucky. I just couldn't find things that I enjoyed outside of waking up early and going to the gym. It was like, while they were awake, it was just me talking to myself in my head and just being like, it's okay, trying to practice gratitude, telling myself, you wanted this, you love your kids. And it was starting to get old. It was like, why do I feel this way? I should be able to enjoy them in my life and I should be able to integrate them into my life and not feel like, oh, I can't wait till they go to sleep. I'm always looking forward to nap time and bedtime. And then on top of my children, I'm married. So it was like they would touch me all day. And then when my husband gets home, he wants to kiss me or hug me. And I'm just like, get off me. And I hate that. I don't want to feel like my husband gets home from work, he is providing for us and he's taking care of us. And then when he gets home, I don't want to kiss or I don't want, him to hug me. And I do want that mentally, but like physically, it, it just wasn't, I couldn't handle it. And I definitely I knew that something needed to change. So I am going to insert a clip on what our house was looking like. And it was looking like that for those that are just listening and they're not watching. We had the giant playpen. And our place is not big. We live in a 3-story townhome. So it's not that big. Probably the living room is probably like 300 square feet, maybe something like that. And we had this humongous playpen because we got the biggest one because we had the 2 babies and we wanted them to have space. But as, they're approaching 2, they started to demolish this thing. I mean, they were trying to jump out, but it's really not supposed to bear their weight. And the whole reason why we had it, of course, we got it when they were younger, and it was just for them to not move around all over the place. But then I kept it because I like to put them in the playpen while, like, I put them in the playpen in between meals so that they weren't walking all over the spilled food on the floor. And they are getting better at not throwing their food on the floor, but this was the main motivation. So I would put them in their playpen, clean up the kitchen after meals. It would give me kind of like a break as well because meals are a little bit stressful. And then I will let them out once I finish cleaning. But now they're at the age where they can just jump out of the playpen, and it was kind of like, well, what's the point of the playpen? And I just kept telling myself, like, there's a point to it. And I couldn't really validate what the point was or express what the point was. So finally my husband was like, let's just get rid of it. And side note, I had started to notice that they would play for so long upstairs by themselves. Or, like, they wouldn't, like, I would be able to go upstairs, fold laundry, put laundry away, and they would have so much fun upstairs. But there's not much upstairs. They don't have very many toys upstairs. In their room, they just have a playhouse that they destroyed. And then they have the Nugget and, I mean, a rocking chair, and not very many toys, just like 1 or 2 books or something like that, and, like, a few little knickknacks, and, like, they love, crocheted blankets and sweaters and stuff. And then in our room, it's just our bed, and it's just our room. So I noticed, I was like, "Man, I'm really able to go upstairs, fold the laundry, put it away," and I come downstairs and I'm like, "Wow, we were upstairs for 2 hours, and they barely came to me for attention." And my husband was like, "I think it's because, he had been doing research and things because he knew I was starting to get overwhelmed and stressed out, and he was doing research, and he was saying, actually, children don't need all of this stuff. They don't need a bunch of things. Less in a lot of cases is more." And of course I pushed back. I pushed back and was just like, well, we need the playpen. We need it for some reason." For some reason that I cannot explain, we need it. And I snapped. I snapped about 2 days ago. I snapped at my husband kind of over nothing, and he took that as, "This place needs a makeover." So we completely took down the playpen and threw it away. Like I said, basically were already destroying it. We always had to put it together anyway, put it back together, and they were destroying it. So he threw it out, and then they came in here and just started playing with barely anything because we have already pretty much gotten rid of a lot of their toys. We were slowly kind of making this shift, and they were just playing with barely anything. And I'll show you the after photo here as well. But pretty much, for those again that are listening, it's just now we brought the slide back downstairs because we had the little tyke slide up in their room. Oh yeah, that was another thing that was in their room. So we had the little tyke slide. We brought it back downstairs. We have this. It was supposed to be a bouncer, but we didn't believe in bouncers, so it just has like a hole in the middle. And it's a little play thing, and my daughter likes to get in the middle and like push around the floor now. And then they started using their walkers again. We still do have a few toys, but honestly, they don't really take them out the toy box, so we probably should just get rid of them. But they started playing on their own. I didn't have to turn on the TV, and they're starting now play for hours. I redid our little patio that we have, and put like a grass carpet thing. I redid that a while ago. So now, if they just want some fresh air and stuff, we can now step outside, and they're enjoying that. And I just couldn't believe that not only like the sensory overload was touch, of course, they were overstimulating me with touch, but I just think that they were also having that sensory overload visibly, like, sight. Their sight was overloaded, and it was just too much. It was too much for all of us. And I had already known that the playpen was just a lot. I just don't know what took me so long to let it go. But it was just, now I like I said, I'm not a doctor or a psychiatrist or anything like that, but I'm just going off of my experience and what I've now observed. and just clearing our space. We rearranged our couch and it just feels so much bigger in here. It feels like a breath of fresh air. And just that one shift has literally changed the game. I cannot believe my energy. I am looking forward to coming downstairs now. I don't dread waking up in the morning to see that. And it is, it's like sensory overload visually. And then I doubled it up with all the touch. The kids, they want affection. So I get it. And then, of course, as a mom, we're thinking about so many different things. I was watching a psychiatrist on YouTube, and she was just expressing, her name was Dr. Kim Sage, and she did a post on overstimulation, and she was basically saying, on top of everything, on top of your kids needing your touch and love from you, then you have visually, and then you also have the overstimulation from decisions. So basically, cooking meals and appointments, and for me, my podcast and how to further my podcast, and my husband and making sure that I wake up and get his meals together, and just all the different things that it comes to homemaking, being a mom. We all have our things that we are on our plates, and it's a lot. It's a lot that we think about. So that is another overstimulation. And caffeine is just a lot of different things that she talks about that I didn't really consider. And basically, the touch and the overstimulation of that has decreased because they haven't, like, maybe it felt like they were trying to also get away from that mess. And so they were just like on the couch with me, just trying to deal with it. And now with all the open space, they're really truly enjoying the open space, and like they get on the carpet now and like roll around, and it's actually quite fascinating to watch their imagination and using their toys in a different way now because they have more space to kind of um, explore, or what's the word? Experiment. They have the space to experiment and do different things, and I'm just so happy. I just can't believe that making this one shift has drastically changed my mindset and my daughters. Of course, they still want me to pick them up here and there, but my point is that it's way less. They are playing for much longer. I don't have to turn the TV on as much. And now it's really just turning the TV on like before meals so I can go in and cook. Of course, I don't want my daughters coming in there any type of accidents. They're now getting taller and they're reaching for things. And so I don't want them to reach on the stove. So I do turn on my TV to gonna distract them while I cook. But other than that, I am definitely using the TV less, and that's always been a goal of mine to not have so much screen time. We don't have tablets or anything like that, but just have less screen time and give them the ability to use their imagination. And I'm just really, really excited that all it took was to remove was to remove the playpen and get rid of a few toys. And I am starting to really understand that mindset of less is more for me and the kids. So let me know in the comments if you are feeling overwhelmed and overstimulated. And I thought it was going to take me buying more things to distract them, but actually it was needing to take things away. So we had actually started to buy them more toys. Like that's why I bought the slide. I kind of bought the slide for outside, but I was thinking like if I create an outdoor space, maybe that would help them out, but it didn't. It really was needing to remove things and not add so many things to kind of help free up that mental overload and things like that. So more is not always better. And so just definitely let me know. I would love to chat with you about what you have found that has helped, because I would really appreciate any additional tips. So if you have done similar things like declutter, let me know if that has helped you, or if you went about it a different way. Let me know what you did, because I would love to hear. And so, yeah, that's basically what y'all can expect going forward. It is going to be me just coming on here every first Saturday of the month to explain what you can expect throughout the month, what the theme of the month is. October's theme is overstimulation. And I'm really excited for all the guests that we have, because I really think y'all will like what you hear. And just a sneak peek at next month, because I am going to just give you a little teaser. Next month is going to be more to love. So it's going to be a month of multiples. So all the moms, of course, including myself, we all have twins or more. So that's the sneak peek for next month. I'm really, really excited for what's to come and the future of the Mothering Holistically podcast. And for those that have been with me from the beginning, thank you so much for your patience. Thank you for listening and keeping up and taking my journey and giving me your time, because I know that time is precious and I really truly respect yours. And I am trying to make this podcast the best supportive mom podcast for us selfless moms who give and need a little bit of motivation to, with a little healthy balance, we can have it all. We can have, the career, the kids, the husband, the family. We can have it all. We just have to have healthy balance throughout different seasons of motherhood. And unfortunately, we can't give 100% to one thing. But like I said, healthy balance allows us to have it all and enjoy our passions, have creative outlets if that's what we need. Or for us moms that like to work and, getting out the house and focusing on something else really helps us. It's really just creating that balance, because I don't feel like you can give from an empty cup. So if you fill your cup, you kind of give yourself the things that you need. You can better show up in life and for your family. So that is it for this episode. Mothering Holistically is here to amplify everyday moms' voices by creating a relatable space to share stories, practical tips, and inspiration. We empower moms to embrace every season of motherhood with confidence and pursue your dreams with resilience. I'm your host, Kaylee Berlinee, a mama who refuses to give up. Also, don't forget to follow me on all the social platforms so that we can connect at Kaylee Berlinee. Definitely follow the podcast at Mothering Holistically on Instagram and Facebook. And then, like I said, if you are overstimulated right now and your place is cluttered, I definitely recommend that you declutter and let us know how it goes. Sometimes it just takes removing one thing. For me, it was just the playpen. We just removed the playpen. I did mention that we kind of removed some toys, but we did that a long time ago, or like a month or so ago. And this just removing the playpen is what truly changed the atmosphere of my home. And I just feel a new calm. Tag us, hashtag Mothering Holistically Podcast, Mothering Holistically Podcast, if you decide to declutter, and let us know, share, because we love to shout you out. And this is a community. We're all here to support and motivate each other and uplift one another. So definitely let us know if this episode helped you. If you like this episode and feel it resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up by clicking that like button. It really does help us out. And if you feel it could encourage someone you know, please feel free to share it while also hitting that notification bell to never miss a weekly episode. Subscribe if you're on YouTube, or follow if you're listening wherever you listen. Until next time, remember to mother holistically and thrive authentically. I'm your host, Kaylee Berlinee, and together we're winning. Thank you. Bye, y'all.